Welcome to the Monocle Podcast. We are an independent management consulting firm, and in this podcast, we discuss our latest insights and opinions to help you achieve exceptional performance in banking and insurance together.
Welcome to the Monocle Insights Podcast. I'm Guy Wilding, Monocle's research manager, and on this episode, we're looking back at the European Risk Management Council's global leadership meeting that was hosted in London last week, Wednesday, the 23rd of March. Monocle proudly co-sponsored the event, and our CEO, David Buckham, was invited to share his insights on the climate-related risk panel. The event, attended by more than 140 senior executives from over 110 financial organizations, including 15 of Europe's 20 largest banks, had been carefully curated to provide for in-depth discussion on the latest trends in risk management. The timing of the conference could not have been more fitting, as the world continues to come to terms with various socio-economic issues, including the continued impact of the pandemic, high inflation, and now Russia's invasion of Ukraine, starting almost exactly a month prior to the event. The conference consisted of 4 roundtable discussions on various risk management topics, including the war in Ukraine, operational resilience, digital transformation and risk management, and finally, climate change risk, where David Buckham, Monocle's CEO, spoke about the unintended consequences that a potential introduction of climate-related Pillar 2 capital charges might have on banks. The conference got underway with the most recent risk development, an analysis of the global risk landscape following the war in Ukraine. With the West punishing Russia through the implementation of severe economic sanctions, the issue of increased geopolitical risk and energy supply concerns were high on the agenda for risk managers. There was a concern shared amongst the panelists that the age of globalization and international collaboration might soon be over, and that Europe would be facing difficult economic times ahead as they look to wean themselves off Russian gas. While the threat of stagflation may become a serious concern for the global economy, the research from the panel highlighted that global growth estimates would only see a small decline due to the war. The conference then shifted gears with the next 2 panels discussing the use and application of digital transformation, technology and analytics in financial services. The second panel of the conference focused on operational risk, while the third panel focused on the future state of risk management in general. Both panels included C-suite risk professionals who reinforced their own institutions' need to leverage innovative technologies. From a poll that was held during the conference, the most important technological advancements in the risk management space were cloud computing and robotic process automation. Both are technologies that Monocle looks to assist our clients to implement. However, the panel also raised the concerns that traditional financial institutions like banks are still not sufficiently agile, with over 58% of respondents highlighting IT and their legacy systems as the weakest link in their operational resilience framework. The panel cited further difficulties in banking, such as the reliability of regulatory reporting, as well as integration of data and processes across business functions like finance and risk, 2 topics that Monocle Research has focused on extensively last year. For more information on Monocle's approach to risk and finance integration in the banking sector, you can view our insight paper and podcast on our website, monoclesolutions.com. To cap the conference off, Monocle's Chief Executive Officer, David Buckham, along with the Deputy Chairman of Danske Bank, Carol Sargent, and the Chief Executive Officer of Climate Bonds Initiative, Sean Kidney, tackled climate change risk and the industry's journey to sustainable finance. David opened the panel by highlighting the unavoidable impact that geopolitical risk has on climate risk. This is clear to see in Europe as countries like Germany try to minimize their impact on Russian gas, while countries like China double down on coal production as they chase economic targets and energy independence. However, it was the topic of a regulator-enforced climate capital charge that garnered most of the discussion, with David highlighting the systemic risk of oversimplifying our definitions of green assets and oversimplifying the calculation of a capital charge that could have a detrimental result and become a capital drag. The panel agreed that banks are uniquely positioned to facilitate the transition of their clients to meet net zero targets over the next 30 years. Transition financing will require a flexible green taxonomy to accommodate bank customers on their green journey, which is often at odds with the hardline approach displayed by regulators in their guidelines to climate risk management. This could have the unintended consequences of banks reducing their lending activity, as risk-taking is discouraged by the threat of further capital charges. This will certainly be a topic of interest for banks over the next few years, with the European Central Bank announcing that it's currently working on adding climate risk to the region's capital buffers. After the COVID-19 pandemic, protracted lockdown, and now war in Ukraine, there is increased acceptance in the risk profession of the use of highly severe scenarios as part of stress testing and scenario analysis. From the discussion held at the Global Leadership Meeting, it was clear to see that dynamic and proactive risk management has become a priority for financial institutions to ensure they successfully navigate a world that is now more uncertain and volatile than before.
Visit monoclesolutions.com to subscribe for updates. From Johannesburg to London, Cape Town to Amsterdam, Monocle, we design change.